Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the darkest timeline. Yes. It's a very dark timeline for some of us because your boy's tired. And it shows in this episode. Gets a little bit in the weeds, I believe. Yeah. Thinking about winding things down. Not podcast, just exercise. And talking about needing a day off. TV, no movie at the moment, I'm afraid. We've got a little bit lax on the movies, but there's plenty of TV, a lot of TV, and then there's some computer game stuff at the back end. So yeah, before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review, and yeah, if you wouldn't mind sharing the podcast round with your nearest and dearest, I would really appreciate it. Right, there's enough of that. Let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the darkest timeline. Hello. How you doing? You well? I have just had a bout of hiccups, which is the first time I've had hiccups in years. And I am well known amongst these parts as a man who hates the hiccups. So you can imagine what that was like. How are you doing? Better than a man that's just got over the hiccups? I say it like it was some sort of illness. Yes, how are you doing? Are you well? Are you good? Are you good? If you're good, I am super happy for you. And if you're not good, please do reach out. Reach out to us here at the podcast. Anybody here will take the time out to speak to you. If you feel like you are not doing all that well, and if you don't feel like you want to reach out to strangers, and I do mean strange people on the internet, then there are other places, other ways and means, other avenues, friends, family, and services out there for you to reach out to if you are not feeling your best. So, speaking of not feeling your best, I moved away from the microphone, which, you know, a great idea for an audio podcast. I did it again, see? The man is an idiot. Yes, feeling not feeling the best. Oh, dude, bro, I've been struggling. Not necessarily mentally, but I've been struggling physically. I am. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm trying to do all the things that I'm supposed to do. You know, we all know the things we're supposed to do. Get plenty of rest, eat clean, eat healthy, exercise, and, you know, you can take it many steps past that. You know, yoga, meditate, positive affirmations. One that's popped up recently is like gratitude. And a variety of different things. You're supposed to go out there and tell people how you feel about them and stuff like that. This episode of this podcast is largely going to be about this. I'm gonna outline why things are the way they are. I made a mistake. There was a stupid mistake and the knock-on effect it's had is astronomical. Some thoughts that I've been having recently about, I suppose age, really, and some sort of stuff for the future, really. But let's get into it. I'm exhausted. I'm absolutely exhausted. My body has not been keeping up, which it's kind of expected, I suppose. It's kind of the sort of thing you'd expect, in the sense that to some people I do a lot, to others I don't do all that much, and to me it's never enough. So you've got that sort of that cross section there. I often say, if I was to speak to like some of my friends and people that I'm close to, and sort of went through what an average day looks like, it would probably blow the back of their heads off. Whereas I can think of a couple of people where I'd be like, oh, this is my average day, and they'd be like, oh, so you're just doing a warm up then? That's me being extreme. I know people who are like, if I'm not running 10 miles today, then I'm not trying. And don't get me wrong, there are days that I do 10 miles. Not all of it is run, and it's over an entire day, and it puts a lot of stuff together. But if at the end of the day it says 10 miles on the distance you've travelled, then 10 miles, isn't it? And I'll double back to that. I've been trying to take some of the strain away, but I feel mentally worse for it. I've been dealing with some body, I want to say injury, but it's pain. I've been dealing with some pain. I've got this pain in my arm. I've had a pain in my back and shoulder blade. I believe it's all connected. And it's either, so far I've narrowed it down to, it's either climbing or the ab roller. And a particular type of pull-ups, which I no longer do anymore because I think they were having a massive impact on this pain. I'm trying to do more in the gym. Like I said previously, I've sort of increased the weight, and I'm really sort of slowing the movements down to try and get the absolute best from each workout and stuff. But it has a knock-on effect. So let me tell you a story. About it will be exactly 1 month by the date, not by the day. Kind of. Let's just say it was a month ago and stop heeing and hawing. A month ago, I stayed up to watch Super Bowl. It was a long, tough weekend. One that I was surprised how well I'd managed to deal with it. I stayed up both nights, the Saturday and the Sunday. One was work related, the other was the Super Bowl. I fully believed and expected I wasn't going to be able to do certainly the second of the two, and I questioned my sanity doing the first one. However, I don't want to say it was easy, but it was achievable. I did it. Before that point in time, I'd had this thing where I was going to take the Monday off work, and me and Leanne had all these like different plans and this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 blah. And I suddenly was like, hang on a minute, why don't I could get some, like, not free time off as such, but I could get like a run of time off, take a bit of a break, enjoy certain things, taking time away from other things, and have the freedom to relax and those sorts of things, by taking the Tuesday off. And then I won't be at work on the Wednesday, so it'd be like a long, tough weekend followed by a few days off. Of those days off, the Monday was kind of covered. The Tuesday would have been a freebie to a degree, and the Wednesday would have just been a standard Wednesday. But it would have been a bit of time off, a bit of time away from stuff. I could have sort of worked out at my leisure. I could have climbed a bit more if I'd have wanted to, or not if I'd have wanted to, and all this. However, there was a problem. And the problem stemmed from going in the office. I was losing an office day, so I was like, "Oh, I'm not sure about this." And as it turned out, losing an office day wasn't going to really sort of work. So rather than taking that extra day off and having one day in the office, one day at home, and still everything being fine, I decided that I needed to make up the day I'd lost and do 2 days in the office. And honestly, it is hands down one of the worst decisions I've made in a long time. Because I had the time, I could have taken the day off without batting an eyelid, and I have absolutely no idea why I didn't at this point in time. Obviously, 2 extra days or an extra day in the office has taken its toll, and then it has just been bang, 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 bang since. Each day that passes, more and more tired. I'm getting more and more tired earlier in the day, but I can't take my foot off the gas. Got to keep going. Got to keep doing. Got to work out more, work out harder. Run, gotta do all the stuff that I gotta do. Absolutely fucking exhausted. A new thing that has recently developed off the back of this is my son going through this thing where he was absolutely adamant that 5 o'clock in the morning is the time to start the day, and that has caused series of problems, knock-on effects, and things like that. I'm not ready to start the day at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm not ready to start the day at 6 o'clock in the morning when I get up to go and climb, but it is what it is. A couple of days of that, a couple of days of like my son being like, "Hey, I'm awake, so you should be awake." And then there's just, you've got a thing here and a thing there and a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little less of this and a little less of that. And next thing, I can deal with being tired. I feel like that's my I was going to say, what's the opposite of a superpower? And then I was going to say a curse, but it's not a curse. I think it's just like, not necessarily an ability. It's just a thing. I feel like I reached a point in life where I was like, no matter how much I love sleep, it gets in the way of living. So I'm going to have to do less of it. And that was kind of that. And that's how I've lived all the way up to this point where I'm now like, I don't know that is the best answer. So going back, I've been dealing with some pain. The pain, as I'm sure everybody knows, pain can get quite debilitating and it can get quite depressing in a lot of ways, especially when it's stuff that you don't know what's causing it and you don't know how to shake it, and you just keep doing various different things, and sometimes it's better and sometimes it's worse, and you don't know why. So I started thinking, maybe it's time to take it easy. Maybe it's time to take some time off from things. You know, when you're running X number of days a week, when you're climbing X number of days a week, when you're working out 6 days a week, and all of those things on top of a full-time job and being a full/part-time parent, you know, maybe something has to give. So I started thinking, well, you know, I will hold my hands up. I have a confession. I have a confession to make, and I don't know how comfortable I am making this confession, but I've got to get this out. A little while ago, I saw a lot of stuff talking about studies and things, etc., about how the difference between running and walking is negligible, to the point that running does massive amounts of damage to your body, walking a lot less. There were even studies that were saying that if you get on a treadmill and put it on a real incline, but put it at walking speed, you're actually doing more than if you put it on to run. I have a knee issue, and for years at this point, I wear a knee support whenever I'm doing pretty much any kind of exercise. I wear a knee support just for one knee, although recently I think that may change to a 2-knee system. And as I'm sure you would imagine, for whatever reason, the knee support has had to enter other aspects of life. A day that I know that I've done, for example, on a day I know I've done a leg day, and the next day I'm going to do a lot of walking, probably going to pop the knee support on for the day. So a few things sort of clicked into place, and I was like, if the running isn't doing the job it's supposed to be, then it's largely pointless. I'm not going to stop, but I might substitute some of the weekly runs to an incline walk with a weighted vest. And I know, you might think, weighted vest with a bad knee. But, incline walk, weighted vest, real incline, relative speed as well. It's not a slow plod. I can do the distance I was running in the same amount of time. So, we're talking about if it's calories burnt, apparently there's no real difference. And honestly, what are we gaining by just running? I still run. I ran on a Monday morning. I ran this morning. Actually considered not bothering today. I do a big run Tuesday. There's like I say, incline walk Wednesday rather than a run. Not all that much on a Thursday. I look at Thursday as a bit of a leg recovery day, but still get probably 12,000 steps in. Friday, big run. Saturday, reasonable run. Sunday's rest day. So any of those days, like a Friday, Tuesday, where there used to be Wednesday, where there used to be additional runs, those runs have been replaced with incline walking. Any outdoor big runs are still a thing, is basically it. So there's my confession. So I started thinking, okay, maybe it's time to look at some alternatives. Now, something that's come up recently, there's been sort of a reasonably widely publicized podcast that Dorian Yates has done with Andrew Huberman that talked a lot about this working out 3 days a week thing. I saw a YouTube fitnessy type person who was also talking about the 3-day workout week. And there's been recently a lot of talk around you only need to work out 2 to 3 times a week to get the results that you want or need or whatever. Now, personally, I believe that there's probably some additional help-related things that make that possible, shall we say. But apparently this is a thing and it's a belief. So what does that look like? And there's this thing you're supposed to do, like a push day, a pull day, and a full body is one of the options, etc, etc, etc. Okay, well, the man that is talking right now has actually been looking at his workout week, thinking, how can I fit more in? So the two are completely opposite. Many moons ago, not that many moons ago, but many moons ago, I had a workout routine called Every Day is Arms Day. And I got it in my head that I understood the principle of overtraining, but I also understood what I was referring to as the farmer principle. Farmer principle is, if you're a farmer, you're out there day in, day out. You're working day in, day out. Physical labour. Your body has to adjust, and it just has to sort of deal with it. So I was like, right, here's what I'm going to do. Every single day is going to be arms. And whatever the actual workout for that day is. So it'd be like, I'd do legs for an hour, arms for an hour. This was including, I was also doing, I think I was doing half an hour of cardio as well. Like a treadmill warm-up and a bike session and a rowing session. This was largely at a point in my life where I didn't have anything else to do other than go to the gym for 2.5 hours a day. And it had a variety of results, shall we say. Also, at the time I was eating all of the calories under the sun, so, there was that as well. So, real mixed bag. Recently, I've been like, maybe I could go back to that. Maybe I could go back to every day's arms day. And, on a leg day, you do an hour of legs, and then you do an hour of arms. So, toying with that. Chest and arms, yeah. Back and arms. Arms and arms. Not sure how that one would work, but anyway. So, I've been toying with some stuff, thought about digging out some old workouts and just modifying them to essentially start with, if it's chest day, throw in some bicep curls at some point. There, you added arms. So, you've got on one hand a guy who's like, hey, let's do more. And on the other hand, you've got a guy who's like, oh, maybe it's time to do less. I think we can all understand that those two guys ain't getting on. So I was like, okay, let's have a think and let's look at it and let's see about what I could sort of do, what I could wind down. First thing, straight away, let's remove some cardio. Those treadmill sessions, yeah, let's get rid of them. Okay, there we go. Treadmill sessions gone. On the days where you're like, oh man, I've just done an hour. Take Wednesday, for example. I've just done an hour of arms. Now it's time to get on the treadmill and you feel exhausted and you just want to sit down or lie down or have a nap or have a cry. One of those is surely going to appeal. You go, get on the treadmill for half an hour. If I removed that, spend half an hour more with my son. I could spend half an hour more making a meal rather than eating just whatever I can lay my hands on. You know, oh, okay, this is interesting. What other days? Friday, there's a treadmill session on a Friday. Get rid of it. Then what? Well, spend more time with family. Again, more time actually preparing meals. I could prepare, my tea half an hour earlier or something. Okay. Yeah, okay. What other days? Tuesday. Big run, a long run, a leg session. Probably don't need a treadmill session. Let's get rid of it. Job done. Legs are still getting a good workout on a Tuesday. Treadmill session gone. So why do I have a treadmill? Because apparently I just wiped out all usage. Unless it's raining, cats and dogs, treadmill is going to gather more dust than it does already. Okay. I don't like how that feels. I don't like the sound of that. Okay. Let's change it. Here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove 2 workouts. Do 6 workouts a week. Remove 2. What we're going to remove? I think the first one is obvious. The first one is an absolute no-brainer. It's one of those that if you talk to pretty much anybody that has any sort of gym or workout or whatever, which day would you get rid of? It's going to be legs, isn't it? Keep the treadmill, keep the runs, get rid of the leg day. Boom, gone. Let's face it, not gonna lie, not gonna sugarcoat this one. I've been struggling with legs recently. This slow and steady working out, really not a fan for leg day. Okay, legs is gone. What other day? Massive session on a Saturday. Big session on a Saturday. Lot of arms and chest. Get rid of it. It's gone. I've run. I've had a 90-minute climb. I don't need it. Okay, how's that feel? How's that sit? How are we feeling right now? What would I do with that time though? No workout on a Tuesday. It's an hour that I'm getting back. Okay, what would I do with that hour? Oh yeah, prep a meal and that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean it's time back. It's time that you're not working out, so you're not exhausting yourself that way. I mean, the Saturday one's like a proper, like you go balls to the wall. It's one of those that feels bad and good all at the same time. It hurts, and that's a good thing. So, do you really want to give that up? Yeah, I think. Yeah. How much of a of a girly man do you want to be giving up leg day? What? Because it's hard? You want to give up leg day because it's hard? There are words. There are words. Can't use them here, but there are words. Then I realised what the answer was, and the answer was, I honestly don't. I don't feel like these things are my identity, but these things are like a part of me, and I feel like if I gave them up, not gave them up as such, but like reduce them, that I'd be reducing part of myself. I will tell absolutely anyone that lifting weights is massively beneficial for mental health. It's massively beneficial for your body, your life, your longevity. There's so much it's good for. The taking it away is, I don't think it's the answer. So, I've been struggling. I've been real struggling a lot. I've had these pains, and I've had this level of exhaustion like I have never known. And I toddle off to my Saturday morning, which is a half-hour run, a couple of miles under the belt, nothing major. It's the hardest run of the week because it's the last run of the week, and it's just that, oh my word, I don't want to do this. But I was out there and I had to run fast. I ran too far and I had to run back fast. So by the time I got to climbing, I was sweaty, which is unusual. It's been a little while. Not because I don't try hard, because it's been cold. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So I go into climb, and I get in there, and I feel a bit like, a bit rushed, feeling this sort of exhaustion, feeling that, I'm umming and ahhing. I've got these pains, these injuries, whatever you want to call them, and I'm sort of like, maybe I'm thinking that I might dial back this, that, and the other. And I go on a climb, and every now and then, there's this thing. And I had a conversation with somebody, and they agreed with me. So I was like, oh, it's not just me. You can have this experience where when you climb, you don't feel safe. You feel like you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to do it. You do things weird. You climb stuff like, I've never climbed this like this before, and this is really awkward. You get up the top, and you think you can't get down. You get so far down, and you realise you've come down wrong, so you're going to have to, you get in this panic that you're going to have to throw yourself off the wall. All of this is going on. I'm like, I don't feel safe. I've spoken about this before, probably a few times. Like I say, common occurrence. And I spoke to somebody I know there, and I was like, you ever have those days where you just don't feel safe? And they were like, yes, I know exactly what you mean. I was like, oh, it's not just me. So I had that going on as well. I had this weird, I felt weak and strong at the same time. And I came home and I worked out because there was nobody at home. And I was like, oh my God, the thought of having to do this workout now is just the worst. But then was absolutely ripping it. And I'm like, okay, I'd achieved stuff at climbing. Some of it was just reiterating that I can actually do something while I'm there. And some of it was oh yeah, I kind of forgot I could do that. So just this weird sort of thing. So I'm like, right, I've decided what I need. I decided what I need to do. What I need to do is I need a day off. Now, obviously, when I say I need a day off, you go, a day off work. And I go, no, I need a day off. I need a day off. Everything. No work, no parenting, no running, no climbing, no working out, nothing. I need to get up out of bed. I need to walk downstairs. I need to lie down on the sofa I need the dog to come and lie down next to me, and I just need to lie there for the rest of the day. And that is a hilarious concept. So I said this to a couple of people where I'm like, I need a day off, and they're like, oh yeah, why don't you see about booking some time off? I'm like, no, I need a day off. I need a day off life. And some people are like, well, yeah, you got to look after yourself. And other people are like, I mean, you got 4 kids. And I'm like, hey, yeah, boy. Somebody told me on Sunday that I should go home and get some rest. I think I laughed for about 90 seconds on that one. I've been saying it. And then Leanne was like, hey, you've been saying that you need this, like, you need a day off. I'm like, huh? She's like, well, in a couple of weeks, we've got some holiday. I'm like, yes, but we all know what holiday looks like, especially in this house. She's like, yes, but. I'm like, oh, there's a but. Here we go. This should be interesting. And I was half expecting her to be like, on this day, at this time, I'm taking everybody out for the day and you'll be on your own. I know it sounds weird, but it's happened recently. 4 kids, and the only people in the house are me and the animals. I'm like, okay, so yeah, we've got these days off, and I'm like, yeah, it's going to be, holiday. We all know what that means. She's like, yes, but it's followed by a double bank holiday weekend. And I'm like, oh, it is. Oh, yeah. And I think, there was a little bit of, look, it's that thing in it. We're a team. So when one of us is struggling, the other one has to pick up, X, Y, and whatever. Ages ago, there was this thing about, you can't be 100. And, you especially can't be 100 and the other person's 90. More often than not, you're 50 and the other person's 50, and that's fine. That's great. But sometimes you might be 40 and the other person needs to be 60. So, there was this sort of suggestion that there may be some time. So now I'm like, only 3 weeks to go. Only 3 weeks to go until some time off. I am so fucking tired. I just wish I could go back and go, I'm going to take that day off. And I just think it would, like, especially now, knowing that at this point now I wouldn't feel this way. Like, my body's not getting time to recover. My mind isn't getting time to recover. I'm not getting anywhere near the amount of sleep I need. Like, at this point in time, my day has been, where am I? Like, 17 hours at this point, which isn't a lot, but it's nowhere near bedtime. So, I've still got 2.5 hours or something. So, yeah. I need some time off. One of the reasons that I need some time off is I have just turned into, I have written down here, being a shit parent. Oh God. I just can't. I can't do it. Honestly. Like parents, like there are times and where parents like, oh, they never stop talking, or somebody always wants something, or the mummy or daddy is a rude word in our house, or that sort of thing. I get it. I do. I really get it. Like, I had this conversation like this morning. Everybody's trying to get out the door. Everybody's trying to get out the door. Apart from the 2 people that need to be out the door, everyone's trying to get out the door. So there's a lot of, are you doing the job that you're supposed to be doing right now? And can you move out of the way so I can, do this and all of that. It's the standard Monday morning. Nobody wants to leave the house, but everybody has to. So there's a lot of that going on. And there was all this noise. All this noise. And I commented on the noise. And, rightly so, Leanne's like, you are just feeling a particular way at the moment. You are just tired. And I'm like, yeah, I am, which doesn't make it any easier to deal with that. She's like, yeah, but you're also overreacting because of it. It's that double-sided thing. And I'm like, yeah, I know. You're right. But I honestly feel like I've turned into both of my parents just rolled into one. I always have this thing where I'm like it's hard to explain. It's like this evening I had my son following me around. Like I was like, right, I got to go get changed so I can work out, and he was just there. I was like, oh, you're coming with me? Okay, and we went, and then like he's in the gym with me because he had a bit of trouble this morning because apparently getting up at 5:30 makes for a well-behaved child. No, sir. So there was this kind of like, you can't do this and you can't do that, you can't do the other, so you can come in the gym with me. So we go in the gym, and at the moment we go in the gym, I'm like, this was a terrible idea. And I have always modelled my parenting with the simple rule. I look at what my parents would have done and do the opposite. And I work on the principle that if I do the opposite of what they would have done, I'm doing a good job. Simple principle. Easy to follow. What would they have done? Do it the opposite. I'm doing a good job. And for a lot of time, I was like, you want to be a good parent, and you want to get to a point where you think you're a good parent, and you want to be the parent that's like, I didn't quite master it today. I didn't quite crush it today, or I didn't quite achieve today. But tomorrow's going to be better. I'm going to make a real effort. And a lot of days recently, there have been a lot of those where I've been like, I didn't do it today. I didn't get anywhere close today. But tomorrow's going to be different. And I'd get out of bed, and then within 4 minutes, I'm like, well, there's always tomorrow. And the more the days go on, the more I'm just like, I'm just reminded of my parents, and I'm like, I'm doing it wrong, but I don't know if I know how to do it right anymore. And then I make a real effort, and I'm like, look, I'm not going to be whatever. I'm not going to be grumpy. I'm not going to be this. My youngest daughter said to me, I might have said this last week. My youngest daughter said to me, why are you so grumpy? That was half a sentence. She's like, why are you so grumpy when you come out of the gym? And honestly, I've been wondering the same. I think it's something sort of like possibly like some sort of like testosterone related thing, like coming out with just rage. But I have also noticed that I come out of the gym like, I want to slay a dragon. So I just feel like I need to rebalance. Like I don't want to be not a good parent. I don't want to be as good a parent as I can be. I don't want to be like, please just be shush for 2 minutes. I don't want to be that parent. They're expressing themselves. Like if my son wants to know if it's abs time, Who am I to say you shouldn't ask that question 9 times when I haven't even started a workout? Who am I to say that 94 times of asking, is it ab time? Yeah. I do believe that, obviously I've been going through this sort of like trying to change like the anger management stuff. I've spoken about this in the past. I've spoken about more recently in that sense of it's something that I'm making a more concerted effort. And there are days where I'm like, I have to write today off, and I have to go to bed, and I have to get up tomorrow and start again. And I've said it before about, X number of days since last incident kind of thing. I believe that at various points, at various increments, at various stages, when you're trying to do better, be better, those kinds of things are sent to test you. And today, very much one of those days. Getting to work this morning was one of the hardest journeys I've done possibly ever. It was up there as one of the worst journeys I've ever had trying to get to work. And the main number one reason for that might surprise you, because it was other people. I have this like hit list of the worst drivers out there. I've spoken about I used to do this whole thing about bad driving and then realised probably wasn't the best, so I gave it up. But that doesn't change the fact that I have this hit list of the worst drivers on the road. And I think we all know who is the worst driver on the road. But ultimately, as the years have gone on, that list has just grown and grown and grown, and it's largely it feels a lot like a keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing. And basically, I hit every single one of those fuckers this morning. Oh my fucking God. I hit every single one of them this morning. At every available possible moment of that journey, it was just an absolute gallery of the worst fucking drivers. And it wasn't even that. There was other things. I pulled into completely stood still traffic, and I'm like, fuck me, these fucking roadworks. Honestly, they got to put all these fucking roadworks out, and it's non-fucking stopping, and you can't get fucking anywhere, and there's 9,000 fucking cars on the road, and nobody's going anywhere because we're all sitting here waiting for fuck knows what. And then a truck went past. It was 2 lanes, and a truck went past in the left-hand lane. And I'm like, where the fucking hell's that going? What? It's going to get down to the roadworks and go, oh, now what do I do? I'm now stuck here. Because it was going somewhere, and I watched it, and it just kept going and going and going. And I'm like, wait a minute, are the roadworks not there anymore? Because if they aren't there anymore, I don't actually need to be in this lane. I'm in the wrong lane. I need to be in the left-hand lane. And as I'm thinking this, the truck is gone. I was like, you son of a fucking... And I pulled out into the left lane and shot off down that road and got off on my way to my destination. And it was shit like that. Now then, I am categorizing different levels at the moment. So those levels are a lot like... I did not reach, DEFCON whatever, nuclear whatever, but I did have a bit of a, oh, for fuck's sake. does that constitute as, a blow up? Do I have to mark down today as a bad day? I got to work and I was like, the office was like a ghost town. Like, where the fuck is everyone? Where is everybody? There's nobody here. So where are all those cars going? I spoke to a couple of people and were talking about the sheer number of roadworks at the moment, the sheer number of like 4-way traffic lights and all this and the other. And I was like, I saw something recently that was talking about passing a thing that says that for like excessive roadworks, they're going to start charging them. And I was like, I am so for it. My journey to work today was very much a day that was sent to test me. And then I'm at work and I'm starting to work. And today's been a day. Today has been a real day. A real day of it. So, yeah, do I have to write today off because today was a shit day? Do I have to write today off because, as somebody who has said multiple times, I am excessively tired? That I have to say, but that's no excuse. Answers on a postcard, people. No movie. There was a plan to watch a movie. It didn't happen. Not gonna lie, a little annoyed because I've got like this sort of collection of films that I'm kind of wanting to get through, and I'm not getting through them. So I'm a bit like, could have done to got some of these films watched. I've paid money for some of them, so I'm a bit like, could have done to watch these. However, where there's no movie, where there's no smoke, there's no fire. Where there's no movie, there's plenty of TV. And my word, plenty of TV is right. Me and Leanne have watched episodes 2 to 8 of The Penguin, which is that series finished. We finished the last episode this evening. Tough watch. The last episode, real tough watch. It had a thing in it, and I was like, oh no, don't. Not gonna lie, a lot of what happened at the end or back end of that series was just, some of the character progression I wasn't super keen on. They took a character who was like misunderstood and this, that, and the other, and they've been like badly treated and stuff, and they just turned them into the monster that they had been portrayed to be, which feels ever so slightly off, like almost pointless in a way. They used a sudden heart attack and sudden stroke as a perfectly legitimate story piece to wrap part of the story up. And I was a bit like, really? That's lazy writing. But the very back end of the last episode did not sit well. Both me and Leanne commented on we could understand it. Not super happy about the way they played it, so it was a bit of a difficult one to sort of take on that one. Other than those things, it's been great. It's been a real throwback to, as I've said before, to like the gangster films of the proper gangster movies. Your Godfather, Your Goodfellas, Casino, Donnie Brasco kind of films. Just everyone's screwing everyone over for who knows what reason. You can't trust anybody. All that sort of stuff. And it worked. It's a throwback, but it's modern, so it's like it's a bit of both. You kind of like, yeah, this works. You know, you have to be reminded that it's technically a Batman story with zero connection almost. Yes, it's the Penguin. You know, the main character is the Penguin, but not the. I was saying to Leanne, I was like, this is the later incarnation of the Penguin, where he's more of a crook, more of a gangster than a villain. And a couple of times, they, especially at the back end, they kind of had to remind you that he is still a villain rather than just a gangster. So in a lot of ways, they did that kind of well. In some other ways, but overall, great series, fantastic series. I do wonder, like, it has a real feel of one-off series, but I would say you can't tell me that there isn't someone out there that's absolutely clambering for another series. There's a second the Batman due at some point, so we'll do the Batman and then we'll do a Penguin, or we'll do a Batman and then we'll do a Riddler or Two-Face, or, you know, is it going to be that sort of thing? Who knows? The other TV series that I've been watching is ironically Watchmen. I watched episode 6 of Watchmen. Yeah. It's good. It's enjoyable. I'm not a super fan of drip feeding information. Watchmen is one of those TV series which like the slowest drip feed of information. Though a lot of the time you just spend your time going, what? What's happening? What's this? What's happening here? What's going on? What's this? Why are they doing that? Why are they saying that? What's happening with these people? Who are these guys? Oh, that's so and so. Oh, right, okay, that's interesting. Ah, right. It's that, a lot of that. I think I'm partway through the next episode as well, but I didn't get it finished, so I didn't make a note of it. Computer game wise, I've written my games down in the wrong order. How disgusting. So let's get the game that I have been playing a lot of out of the way, which is I've been playing a lot of Ghost of Yoti. Ghost of Yoti is fine. It's fine. However, it has a glaring issue. I think I've probably said this every week. In Ghost of Tsushima, the main character had a purpose. And although you went here to collect a new sword, or you went here to follow a fox, or you went here to go have a bath, you felt like you were moving in the right direction. Ghost of Yoti, very clear, similar sort of thing. The main character has a grudge. They've got a purpose. They've got a this. They've got a that. They've got the other. Nothing is going to stand in their way, apart from so many side missions, so many things to sidetrack you. There was a point where I had to do flower arranging. And if that wasn't bad enough, there was a point where I'm like hot on the heels of one of the bad guys, and then there was like, oh, while you're here, can you just go and do this? And I was like, this is Billy bullshit. And I kind of stepped away at that point, which opened the door for the possibility of something else. One day last week, I had this sudden, oh my word, have I forgotten about a game? I have largely played through a lot of the games that I got for Christmas, but haven't managed to quite stick with one because A, I had so many and I didn't want to neglect any, and B, a lot of them have had problems. A lot of them have had issues. But I remembered something. Hey, didn't I own Dead Island 2. I have a feeling I bought it before Christmas on the cheap. It was partially a Christmas present kind of thing. Blah, 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 this, that, and the other. I should go and find out. I went to my library and there she was, sat there waiting. I was like, do you know what? I'm going to get you installed. Because although I was playing Dying Light 2 and Dying Light the Beast, and they are both very similar to each other whilst being different, I still need to go back to them. Probably more the Beast than the second one. The second one, I'd fallen out with it. I was like, the reason I hadn't started Dead Island 2 is because essentially they're the same game. I was like, I am in the mood for a palate cleanser, so let's cleanse my palate. Got Dead Island 2 installed, started playing it, and I went, this is nothing special. It wasn't really living up to Dying Light even. It was really mediocre. It was something and nothing. Just at the point in time where I was like, I'm just going to do this and then I'm going to turn it off and possibly never come back to it. The game was like, hey, now you can do this, which is the dropkick mechanic. You do a jump, you press a button, and you drop kick a zombie in the face, head, torso, whatever. And it was an absolute game changer because I went, it was this that had the drop kick mechanic. That's right. And all of a sudden, that game became 1,000 times better. I've been playing it ever since then. And it's a lot of fun, which every time I say, this game's really fun, I then remember that that's supposed to be the point in games. It kind of gets lost a lot. I've been playing it. I've been enjoying it. Something has happened in the last day or so. I believe that the game has leveled up higher than the level I'm at, which is making for a more difficult time. However, I do think I've been playing it not quite the way it was intended, because once I got the dropkick mechanic, I just used that to deal with all situations. The way the game has sort of progressed now, it's a jump kick, so you can just jump and kick, but it uses a lot of stamina. And I realised that I am carrying a shit ton of weapons around with me that I haven't really used. So I'm now getting into a bit more of a do a kick, then use a weapon kind of thing. I've been using a lot of the modified weapons, and it's fun. Like I say, the game has leveled up. Like the difficulty has leveled up more than I have leveled up, and I'm wondering if I've maybe not quite done something that I should have done. The game has become a little bit harder. So I'm going to see how it pans out from this point on. I'm hoping I can sort of, get in line with it, but we will see. Finally, I had a realization that I'd not finished Into the Radius 2 in its newest form and found it had a new mission that I'd never done before. Off I toddled to do this mission and I got stuck, let's say. I got kind of stuck, I got kind of lost, didn't really have a clue where I was going or what I was supposed to be doing. The map wasn't a huge help, and at one point in time I was like, I'm going to have to come back to this at a later point. So much so that I ended up watching a video. A nice lady on YouTube was showing me this mission. A lot of cuts in the video, which didn't help, but a lot of the stuff in the video did help when I went back to him. I was like, oh, that's that, and oh, that's this, and oh, that's where you can climb up, and oh, this is how you can escape, and this is how you can get away. And I managed to finish the mission and get off the little island that it was sat on back to some sort of civilization, and ended up managing to finish the game again. I believe the intention is for there to be a story in the next update. but I don't know when that might be. So, not wanting to hang around, wait for that, I have started again. And yeah, just playing with a bajillion mods to make it loads of fun. So yeah, there's that. That is it. That is the podcast. That is this one done. I apologise if it was a little rambly in the earlier stages. Obviously, like I say, extreme exhaustion. It's not big. It's not clever. So yeah. Right. I'm going to catch you next time. So there you go. What do you think of that? Another one done. Another one gone. A sleepy one. Sleepy Gary one. Tired, man. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Before you leave us, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. And check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button. And that way you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye. And I'll see you then.
This is a Cookie Cat production.